people want to be influencers. People want to be creators. I grew from 0 followers to millions. Back then, I wasn't competing versus millions of creators because TikTok had just come out.
What do you think scaling your business looks like now? What does it look like to now start earning more money substantially? Is it bigger deals? Is it more deals? Or what is the next major step in income of business for you?
I am a big planner. I could tell you a 5-year plan. That's how I always was. Very regimented, and I'm so much less like that now. I love exactly where my career is at. If I can continue the track I'm on and get more sports correspondent jobs, which I love, and more sports opportunities, I would be so happy. The bookkeeping of all your finances, and then understanding that like at the end of the year, you're gonna get hit with a crazy tax bill that you have to be prepared for. You're not incentivized by the government. I swear every month I'm getting an email that's like, by the way, for your business, this is due. And you're like, what? It is so expensive.
So today with me, I have Kinsey. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Kinsey.
My name is Kinsey. I do social media, which I know some people find is not a business, but it is. I do social media, and also I'm a sports correspondent. So I do contract work through whoever hires me. So I work through the Boxing Network. I work for a company called FanUp, where we cover all sports and pop culture. So yeah, I do a lot of sports work, and then I do a lot of sports creating.
So then before we get into the money side, because as an accountant, I focus a lot on the money, and which I always laugh to is, right when I meet somebody, I sort of use it as an out that when we start talking about what we do, which on the CPA, I always dive into how much money someone makes. Because I'm like, I kind of get a pass. I'm an accountant. That's what I did. So before
you know how much money I make,
I was just going to say,
you run my taxes. So, and you have my accountant under it as well. So my bookkeeper, you are my bookkeeper and I CPA. So you know how much money I make.
Exactly. And that's what was funny is, right, obviously before this podcast, I had texted you. I was like, hey, we usually keep it pretty casual, but I know you really well from looking at your tax return and the conversations I've had with you about you with Stella, but I don't really know you that well. We just met in person for the first time, so this is where we'll get to kind of know each other.
Yeah, you know me.
I know you very financially, but like I've never met her first.
The opposite for most people. Like, I don't know.
Okay, that's a question I remember. I'll have to remember to ask you is split bank accounts. We talk a lot about that. I always want to hear people's vibe on split bank accounts.
With their significant other.
With their significant other. But you guys are married yet?
Or I'm married.
So, okay, so we'll talk about it in your mind. Sure, yes, in your mind when you are married, if you are married, what your thoughts are. Okay, so then sports, and did you use the term influencer?
I would say like I'm a creator.
Creator, because I use the term advertiser. Do you?
I think it's tough for me because I'm coming from a business background and owning multiple businesses, working in real estate, all these things. It's like I've always been an entrepreneur, and now this is just my business. And so it's hard when you say influencer because people don't see what the back end of what we do and how we manage it as a business. And maybe not every influencer does, but for us personally, it is a business. You know, I have my team. We really like every day is booked out by the hour of what we're doing. And it's very structured, and we work Monday through Friday. And so it's like, it is running the business. It's different. Yeah. And so advertisers, we are advertisers. We are whatever, or just because now people are consuming social media over Netflix, over TV. So it's like, how do you think that content is made? I had to have a new piece of content every single day for 5 platforms: YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. I post 50 snaps a day.
50 snaps, and I look off camera. For those of you that are watching, if you see me look off camera, we had Marie here.
Yes.
Who, which if you can, I don't think you pan and see her, but obviously you have a team now.
Yeah.
So as somebody who I would say does social on a very light level, and I already think it's such a pain in the ass. It is so much work.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
Doing this, luckily, was fairly easy. I have a team that will help me set this up. We just arrange a time, come in and sit down.
Yeah.
But like you could ask them, when I have to sit here and do social media on my own, which is really just filming, whether it's green screens with my phone or sitting down and filming a YouTube video, I hate it. I hate scheduling it. I hate working it into the schedule and trying.
That's every day.
Right? And so for me, I'm like, I can't even find 4 hours to sit there and not focus on the business side of it and just to sit down and film, even though I know the right decision is I should sit down and film. Yes, that's what drives the business. So you have, like you just said, you have to be doing this full time. But how do you break out, let's say, filming versus meetings and like actual teamwork. Do you have days that you will just structure around filming versus days where you're doing operational stuff and like contract negotiations, stuff like that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously I have a manager, so contract negotiation is not something that I do just because
Lucky if someone else is really.
yeah, we have legal and they negotiate everything, which they are incredible at. And so I would say our days, the hard thing is I'm a sports correspondent as well. So my day, a lot of my days are booked with that. Like I'm in New York every 3 weeks right now in a job for this company called Fan Up. And then it depends like if I'm on for the boxing network or if I'm on booked for like a golf event or things where I have to be on the mic. So my schedule is very dependent on what we have that month. But normally like we sat down about a week ago and we set the entire month of April, every single hour of the day. And it's like, hey, we have a YouTube day where it's like that entire day was dedicated
Like one day.
yeah, to how are we gonna, because we post once a week a full long form video on YouTube. And so it's like that's a dedicated day, but also we're gonna be able to get some TikToks in there as well. But it is easier to break it up and be like, hey, okay, we're gonna film on Tuesday, we're gonna have 3 hours dedicated to the TikToks of the week. But before that, we have brands that we have to cover. So we had 2 hours of brand deal filming, mapped out because if we had my year contracts and then random brand deals in. So you just have to really time block. And it changes every single week or people cancel. Like we had a big vlog we were supposed to do today and got canceled. So we have to like change things around, it happens all the time. But I travel a lot. I'm gone a lot. There's always something going on. They're like, hey, we need you at the NBA finals. We need you at
Who is the we calling you? Like sort of an agency where you get, yeah.
Yeah, my manager will call me and say, this weekend is the Crown basketball tournament, which is a new postseason tournament, and it's in Vegas. And they're like, oh, the Crown tournament wants you here, blah, 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 blah. Here's what I need to do. Here's my deliverables for the event and things like that. So on Saturday and Sunday, I'll be at the Crown basketball tournament, the championship.
So I would lump. Do you sort of lump your content into two buckets versus we'll call it brand deals and I don't know, like let's say the sports broadcasting. So let's say when you get called out to do a sports event or you're filming for a brand deal versus your own content, or you try and really parlay those two and on a day when you're filming, do both. Or is it a struggle for you to do my content versus brand deals?
I think you always have to maximize content and understand what you need to create for. And that's why it's really nice to have help because Snapchat is such a different format than TikTok.
And Snapchat and marketing tell you how that works.
Yeah, it's like just photos. And so, or it's like, it's so different than YouTube. We have to film horizontally. So it's like, we'll try and all pack into a day. If I'm going to be at the Crown basketball tournament, we have all the TikToks prepped of what could work there, but also like we'll be snapping behind the scenes of the whole time we're there. And then it's like, oh, okay, are we making a YouTube vlog? So it's like you need to capitalize on every opportunity that you're at.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times that we're just at home. And I think the hardest thing too is coming up with ideas. Like if you're posting every single day, you're out of ideas. So we spend a lot of time doing that. Like, okay, sitting down and being like, let's pull 7 ideas for the week and bust them out.
Okay. We just got really deep into your current work, which I couldn't help it. But so taking back to then, because you said you were an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I personally have never viewed myself as that until the last 5 years when I started this business. I was never that kid slinging candy in high school, going to garage sales, cutting people's fucking lawns.
Wow, no, that was me.
No. So that's where walk me through young Kinsey and your relationship with money. Like, were you rich? Were you poor? Were you middle of the road? What did your parents do?
Yeah.
What did money look like for you as a young kid?
So my dad is a cop, and my mom is a teacher. So very traditional, very
traditional.
But I have 8 siblings.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so
Okay, give me genders.
4 girls, 4 boys, and there's 5 brothers, but I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters.
Dang.
Yeah, so but my parents were divorced and remarried later, and so it was just chaotic all the time. And so
Have you guys ever lived that many people in one house? Or close to it?
Yeah. Like we at one point in our life we lived in a mobile home and with 7 kids in one house.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, unpack this. Okay, go. Okay, so your dad's a cop, mom's a teacher.
Yeah. So then it was like, of course, like maybe it made very middle class income. I mean, not my mom as a substitute teacher, no, but like, but you had 8 mouths to feed. So I think that just adds on to it. So I'm really thankful for that though, because my mom is super inspiring and motivating, and she's such a strong woman. And she was like, you could do anything, but never did everything for us. And then because there's so many of us. So by like at like the time I was, she's like, you can do that.
Right.
So that it was like from such a young age, I just did everything on my own, because you have to in that environment. But I also had the love and support that I could. So don't want to take that from her because she's an incredible mom. But it was, so I got my dad had horses in a ranch. So I grew up on a ranch, and so we were shoveling shit at 5 a.m. or like I would make
Real work.
Yeah, I would take that on and be like, hey, I'll make $20 if I do like 40 horse stalls. Like, let me do
My
that.
God, you're running the math. How many are we doing? How much time? Okay, got it. Okay, so
And I was at 12, and then I started doing horse lessons. I would give little girls horse lessons at 12. And then that bought me my first horse, which was great. And then I was like, I was always, and at 15, I was like, I got to start looking for a job because I can get a job at 16. So I got hired at 15 and a half for a job at a coffee shop. And then I worked and saved all my money. I didn't even get a debit card. Like, I only used my tips.
so you focused on saving early.
Oh, honestly, but I almost have an unhealthy relationship with money where I'm like, what if I stop making money?
Build on the mess, you just hoard the debt. Starting yeah, it's good. I not a bad trait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then in high school, I didn't even get a debit card. I literally, the checks would go on my bank account and I never bought a debit card to use it. So I would just use like the $20 in tips I got a week from like the little.
If you didn't get some cash, maybe hit an ATM for $80.
No, I wouldn't even do that. I would let it go. Well, I did high school at $20 a week. I put gas in my tank and go to McDonald's, whatever.
Wait for the next tip round or just do what you need to do to live frugal until the next sort of cash can in.
Then it was like all the checks from 15 to 18 until I went to college went into that account. So I paid for my college from completely my coffee bean money, So it was
all in LA or where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Palmdale, California.
Okay.
So it's like not LA.
Yeah, I was saying not LA. Yeah.
But it is Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's not.
That's insanity. So then, okay, do you go to, so you're in high school, you graduate high school, where do you go?
I went to Sac State, so a state school, for nursing, and
That's a good profession.
Yeah.
That seems very, which let's say, so right again, I always use the term risk averse. I'm very risk averse. Sort of hoarding the money, focusing on getting a good job, something that's steady. That's why I'm an accountant.
Yeah.
Deal if I land a client, keep them happy.
I'm not risk adverse though.
Well, I was going to say, it seemed up until high school pretty risk averse in the sense of finances because you're earning your money, you're leaving it at the bank, no debit card. Hey, as I need money, I'm going to wait for the next sort of tranche. And then when you go to school, you choose nursing, which I'm like, such a good, safe career. Good amount of money to come to you.
Well, when growing up, like
Got a skill set.
in a smaller town, and all you see is like my mom's a teacher, my dad's a cop. Like I thought a nurse was like what you did when you're smart and driven. Like that's a
Nurse. In that perspective, had to that was like the millionaire doctor status.
exactly. You're like,
Sure.
And I actually started college as pre-med. So I thought, I'm driven because I was valedictorian and senior class president of my high school. Like I was always a tryhard.
Genius.
I was a tryhard.
Did you play sports in high school too?
Yeah.
Because what I find crazy is
soccer,
just
cheer.
it's not ordinary to see how many sports you play, and like you're athletic in them too. You're not just like fucking hanging around doing that. You're like athletic in the sport that you're. So you were doing sports through high school or into sports, and then graduate, go to college. Where do we veer off of the health track? And you don't go into nursing. You stop that.
Yeah, that was a crazy, even in college, I had a 4.0, was always so driven. Like that was everything to me to become a nurse. And then like I started modeling in college, which I just randomly would reach out to and like, hey, can you do this modeling job? And I was like, cool. Okay. And then I would go down to LA, and I never really, of course I grew up in Palmdale, but I never really been to LA, like unless it was.
I hear that as like LA. It's
LA, like
modeling
side. Yeah. Or like West Hollywood, And all of a sudden I'm in LA, at this point I'm probably 20 or 21, and I'm like traveling the world and seeing things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this world. And like, I'm so driven. I was like, asking people, the rich people, I'm like, you're not a doctor? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, they're like, no, I'm a real estate investor, or I'm this, or not, and not really.
Really different industries.
Yeah, young, where I was like, I want to be a real estate investor, or I want to like, and whatever business I own, I want to invest into real estate. Like, I had this all of a sudden instilled in me, was like, I'm going to be a billionaire. Like, I was like, I can do that, And so then I was like in Sacramento, and I just told everyone, I'm like, I quit. And
you so you quit. What are you doing when you say you quit? Where were you working, and were you going to school still?
I was working at UC Davis Medical Center and in the PACU, and
going to school or no?
No.
Oh, okay. So you're working though.
I'm working. And then,
Hold on, this is a big turning point though. So you say you quit. Did you already do a few different modeling jobs and have other sources of income before you did that? Because that's where.
no, not really, not really.
No, so you kind of made a jump here at this point.
I took a risk. Like I'm saying, I was always a frugal person. So the second I got a job in the hospital, I saved so much money. Like for me, making that jump and working in the packing and working at the hospital, going from like working at like a desk job or something throughout college, it's like you're making good money. Like I was making $35 an hour or whatever. And I'm like, for a 20-year-old, you're like, I'm rich. You're like, wait, I got $3 in my account. I'm loaded. Like, yeah, or whatever. So luckily I did go down with a little bit of a nest egg and was able to like get down there, but I've always been a hustler and I was like, I'm gonna make it.
So you went down there. Did you have, now what were you paid? Like you had to find a house or?
Yeah, my best friend from Sacramento. And
Got somebody to come with you?
yeah,
No.
LA. We found a little tiny apartment, paid like $1,000 a month in rent in LA, which is like impossible.
That sounds insane.
Yeah, no AC or anything. You're just like, yeah, you don't have laundry in the unit. Like you just need to work. And moved down to LA, and that's when I became a real estate agent.
Oh, okay. So, okay. How long were you an agent? Well, hold on. And let's say too, this is your big shift from from employee to self-employed.
Yes.
And how old are you here? 22, 3, 4?
21.
Oh my God. 21. So 21, you make the jump from being W-2 employee to self-employed as an agent.
Yes.
I will say real estate agent. Well, I assume you're still trying to pursue the modeling jobs and you're doing.
Well, that's the thing. I was only being a real estate agent because I was acting. I was like, I'm going to make it as an actress.
Okay.
That was the first goal. And I was like doing all my acting classes, trying and all this. And I was like, I'm going to make it. But also I was like, I want to be a real estate investor. So let me be an agent and let me sell some houses. Cause that will, if I can sell 3 LA houses a year, you make 60 grand or whatever. And you're like living, So, yeah. And then my best friend, Jess, who I had met in LA, she was an agent. And so we had like met and we are very similar personality as far as like our driven. And like I met, like you're the same age, we met and we're like, whoa. So we started our little Kinsey and Jessica Realty. And sick. Yeah. And we just would door knock every single door and we sold a few houses and we're like, it was able to get
door knocking, huh?
Oh my gosh. And our heels on our door knocking every day. We would do this thing. We were so driven. Like you could not stop us. We had a voicemail drop system that would drop to like 10,000 numbers in a second. And it would be like, hey, this is Kinsey and Jessica Realty. Like
She knows the message. She remembers.
yeah, literally. Like we just sold your neighbor's house and we were checking out your house and it's amazing. We might have some clients interested if you ever thought about selling. And we're like, this is illegal to do it. And we would get on spam call lists and all these things, but we would get leads from it. But we were paying to do these voicemail drops. I mean, we were hustling. Because then someone would call back and be like,
Yeah,
you really have somebody interested in my house? And we're like, we're about to find somebody.
Exactly.
We're about to find somebody. So, but I mean, being a real estate agent is a tough job, especially when we walk in the door. They try and call us back. We're 21 little blonde girls. Like, yeah, we're gonna sell your house. They're like, okay, I have a real estate agent who's been in the industry for 30 years. Like, they're 21.
We're competing hard against other, we'll call it like legacy members of the real estate space.
But we did sell a few houses, which was great. And we would sell a few houses there. Like, every house is $2 million.
You're getting great commissions.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we would get, like, it would be tough. And then all of a sudden, like, in 5 months, we would get, like, a 20K.
So you did see some swings. Like you said, it was tough. You would see some songs in income. Yeah, you ever get to the point where you're like starting to go into the savings that you like had built up?
Oh, totally. I mean, yeah, we are so broke. Yeah, but I was getting a few modeling jobs, like, and I was also building my following still, like.
So were you? Yeah. So
at that point, I had like 50K, but back then that was like.
I was gonna say, did social start for you? Did social
in college?
Okay.
In college, yeah. Like I would kind of just like the pretty sorority girl in college, and that was like the thing back then. And so I think I had like 20K followers in college, which is like a huge deal. And then because that was 10 years ago. So
I was like, can you give us a frame set? So that's 10 years ago.
I'm 28 now, but
28. Okay.
Yeah. So it probably when I was 19, 20, I was like building it.
Yep.
So almost 10.
So now you're an agent now with 50, 60, 70,000 or so.
Yes, exactly. And I'm still building it, like, and I'm learning content as we go. And so then, I was acting. That was the dream, was acting, but real estate was paying the bills. And I also was like, I'm learning a lot in real
Was
estate.
acting not paying any bills? Shouldn't get paid for anything?
Oh my gosh, the actors, hats off to you because wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I have one as a client. And actually not even really yet a client, just helping him, talking to him a little bit. But he's definitely got to be past the point where he's making money for sure.
Okay, but that
I'm like, yeah, but it's a actor. You don't really make any money.
no. It's like the 1% of the 1% of it. Like, you know how many, like, my best friends are actors and, like, they submit thousands of tapes and they'll get one job.
Really?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a grind.
Yeah, it's a grind. I mean, they definitely, like, have to have part-time jobs and stuff. It's
So you're right. When you say that the real estate deals are really every 5-6 months when one of those would hit was like kind of like a off your back.
But then, like, so how my social, like, it's all crazy how life takes you in so many different directions.
Get this there. So you're doing modeling, real estate sales. Following is at, we'll call it 50 to 80K.
Yes.
What's the next big shift to the org money?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, pause before you get there. This is the first time too that you're self-employed. Did you hire an accountant yet? Because as an accountant now, because that's where I'm like, where did your hey, I'm self-employed, I have to hire an accountant. You haven't hired somebody else.
Yeah, Monday.
So you're not even worried about that yet. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, no, like you're just make and do and trying to like form an LLC or whatever in your name and
You're
trying
on Google and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, how did you do this? Yeah.
But so then when I was acting, they were like, my manager at the time was like, you are really athletic. Like you played every sport. I've been really blessed that I played almost all sports. So I was always like, could do like when they would ask you on your acting thing, like, hey, well, can you snowboard? Can you cheer or tumble? And I'm like, I would check them all because I'm like, well, I could do it. And so then you could get hired for more jobs. And they're like, so I had friends at the time and they were stunt doubles. And so I was like, I could do that and I can get more jobs as a stunt double, and then eventually, hopefully, become the actress doing my stunts. Right? Yeah. That was the goal, and so I started doing stunts. And that's when social media really took off because I was like, wait a minute.
But you posting these on social?
Yeah, I could do all this stuff on social and be this, and because at the time it's like all these girls were just like, and me as well. It's like you were just posting because you're pretty. And it's like, but I'm like, well, no. I can do all this dope stuff as a blonde girl. Yeah. And like, that could be cool and interesting for viewers, right? And so, yeah, I did a bunch of really fucking crazy stunts.
Was that when the graph for your following chart just really took off? You did?
Yeah, no, I've done a lot of really, really crazy.
What's the craziest thing you ever did? It's like one that comes back to mind.
Well, I've stood on top of a plane, no parachute. I've climbed the pyramids of Giza.
Those are both heavy hitters.
And
yes,
I ran across the field of the Champions League final.
The soccer we're talking.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's those are three heavy hitters.
So all of those having
millions of
the Champions League final got 1 billion views. God. So I gained 1 million followers overnight.
Did you get arrested for any of that? Like really in trouble? Were you scared of that?
In Egypt when I climbed the pyramids of Giza, I went to jail overnight, and that was kind of scary because obviously I'm in the Middle East. And
how'd they let you out? You had to pay a bond?
Like that, you just paid fine. Like
how about what are we talking? $1,000? $500?
5,000.
Ooh, all right, a little steep. 5,000 US, which is
well at that point I was already like
it's a mine.
I was on social media now. Like I was like making money from doing these crazy stunts, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like I was skydiving, like I'm a helicopter pilot's license. Like I was just because you can kind of see like when I do something, I'm all in.
Yeah, you're not doing it at the base level.
I'm not doing it at the base level. So I'm like, especially when I was young, like you just have this there's no stopping you. So when someone was like, you want to run across the soccer field? I'm like, yeah, like not a thought in my head. And I didn't realize it was going to be that. It was just like, oh, that'd be fun. That would be a cool thing. I didn't really understand the magnitude of the Champions League final.
I still don't even hear you, but now.
But it's worldwide. That's what I was going to say.
Now it has to be massive.
No, it's 3 times the viewership of the Super Bowl.
Dang.
Yeah.
And it always is too. Like as somebody, I mean, I have a son that plays soccer. I played soccer when I was younger. I watched a little.
But it's worldwide.
That's what soccer is so big.
Like just the U.S. cares about American football.
Yes, the whole world
cares about
football. Yes.
Yeah, like football.
No, for you're right. You're right. Sorry.
We call it footy.
Oh yes. So then you're mid-20s. You're getting a lot more jobs now as the stunt double.
And probably at this point, it was like
your content had to have taken a huge. When did this
fall? It was in 20. Things really changed for me in 2019.
Dang, heading right into the pandemic. So then, what is What's the source of money around this time? Is it already sponsorships and things like that? It is. Okay.
And viewership, like you monetize on social media so many different ways.
Yeah, talk to people that like don't understand how you get paid for viewership, because I think that's also a black hole for some people.
So there's so many different ways to get paid as a creator. One is viewership alone. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube especially because you can pays you per view of your content. TikTok and Instagram, very, very little. Like even now, I have millions of followers. I make very little on that, but still, it's like, okay, that's $500 a month or whatever. But the viewership from Facebook and from YouTube is great. So you get paid for viewership. Then you get paid for brand deals. And you can get a brand deal across all platforms. So since I've been able to build every platform to a large audience, it'll be like, I'll get a deal and it's like, hey, this shoe company wants to sponsor you. Then I'll be like, okay, here's the Instagram rate, but also we can add on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Snap.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I looked to you because I'm like, you gotta be some of the brains behind this too. Sweet Marie off camera. Is you're right, like, hey, I want to pay you 10K to rep this shoe.
Yeah.
Well, great, it's 10K for just this platform. But they're like, no, I want all 3 platforms or all 5. You're like, oh, well, that's like 80 grand then. Because that's more of a negotiating tactic. I'm sure that if somebody wants you across all platform, yes. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that was what my manager will do. So now, and then I get paid for my sports broadcasting jobs. So I'm not.
That's gotta be like a fixed fee. Like, hey, you're.
Yeah, I'm on adult here too for one.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, yeah, that's into my new I have a job again. And then the other ones, it'll just be like, hey, here's your day rate for being on like my boxing jobs. It's a day rate.
That you charge and you're making as a self-employed person.
Yes, 1099.
So then, okay, so then we ended at 2019 is really taking off.
Yes.
Does COVID whack you hard?
No. I would say it was because I was at that point I was a stunt double and also would travel. Like all my YouTube videos were me traveling to crazy places like Austria and doing Ladder of Death, or like going to Peru and staying in these pods all on the side of the mountain, like doing really like adventure traveling. That because eventually you like run out of stunts to do, so you're like, hey, how can I like skydive in this cool place? Or so it was really adventure travel. So yes, I had to stop traveling. But then I got my helicopter pilot's license in 2020, and I also moved into a content house in 2020.
Oh my gosh. I've met 1 or 2 other people that have done the content house thing. What is that? What is that life? How does that even get approached to you?
Yeah.
What's the incentive for going to a content, right? So like to bring it back to the money side too, what's the incentive for you business-wise to go to a content?
Well, for me personally, like that was 2020. Obviously, nobody can leave the house. So you live in this house.
Oh, you're right.
With these other creators, and it's like collabing is the best way to grow, and also just having other people in your content who understand content. Like I love filming with other people because it's like we can bounce ideas off each other. We can be different characters in the video. Like it's like annoying to always film by yourself. So it was fun to have like 10 other creators. We all had millions of followers at that point.
Oh, so it's like a packed house, not even people wise, social wise. You guys were all big hitters.
Yeah. The thing though that was really difficult about that house was like I realized not everybody treats social media as a business like I did. And it was like, like I would literally create content plans, like set them out to the house and be like, okay, everybody meet at 11 a.m. And I know nobody wants to get up. So I'm like an early bird, but I'm like, okay, guys, 11 a.m. we'll meet. And they like, we live in the same house and they wouldn't show up.
That is frustrating.
And you're like, I sent on a content plan. I bought supplies. I'm buying all this fun stuff. I created all this.
Put in the work.
I was like, I'm bringing the videographer. Just show up. I'll cut it. I'll edit it. Like, I'll do it all. I just need you here. And they wouldn't show up. And I was just like getting so frustrated where I'm just like, we all have to make this is our job. When you meet with like, so you want the content too? I don't get to.
Which is funny though too. That's exactly why we started this podcast. I hate filming solo, and it's easy to get people to come on here and talk about money, and it's like, hey, it's interesting to other people, and it's easier to film with other people, like in a period. So so how long are you in this content house?
Very, very short lived. I would say like 4 or 5 months, because it was like literally right when COVID started. Like we're talking April of COVID. We moved in, and then like
why is this house? How does that work?
But it's a company owned. At this point, a company owned it, and then they would bring in brand deals that they would take a kind of.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful house in Beverly Hills. I mean, it was an incredible opportunity, and I met a lot of really nice people. But after like 4 or 5 months, I was just like, you know what? You guys actually don't want to film, I'm not getting out of it what I thought. Like this was such a cool opportunity. If we would have all just posted 3 times a day, but I will say, this TikTok was new. and came out in 2019. So in 2020, nobody really had followers yet. So when I got in that content house, less so than I collabed with people, I just was like, I'm not doing anything. So I posted 3 times a day every single day that year.
When you say posted 3 times a day, somebody that doesn't do content to the level that you do near it, in my brain, is that like 3 stories a day? Or you're talking about, what is that?
TikToks a day.
Okay, 3 actual. So like the equivalent of like an Instagram would be like a reel or a post, but 3 posts a day.
Posts a day on TikTok. But I grew from 0 followers to millions.
God, how fast?
Um,
Like how fast did it really take off for you for TikTok?
it probably took a year, but that was also because of the timing as well. You know, like back then I wasn't competing versus millions of creators because TikTok had just come out. Like and back then it wasn't like even, I mean, I think that was 5 years ago. Like now it's really accepted that people want to be influencers. People want to be creators. Back then they still didn't quite like fully get the business or like understanding that they can quit their job and do this. So I had that opportunity because now the algorithm is different. Like now I still have millions of followers on TikTok, but I don't get to view that all that I used to because its algorithm changes. And now on to the next creator.
I was gonna say, yeah, you could think that it's so diluted too now because there's obviously other creators. Did you end up getting paid by, like, was TikTok a good profitable platform for you, or was it just
Brand deals?
okay? I was just gonna say, was it just another spot that you knew that you needed to acquire attention? Is that how you kind of beat it? Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, like, yeah, you just realize you have to masquerade on all platforms and hope.
Like, hey, I can't be a creator that is so strong on, let's call it Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat before TikTok. You knew that you had to have, hey, if I'm a creator, I gotta do this on this platform too.
Yeah, and well, I mean, think about any business. You know, you have to have different streams of income to be able to stay afloat because a lot of times, if Instagram was down or Instagram wasn't doing well for me at that moment, it's like, okay, I need to have multiple streams of income. So that's other platforms. Because what if Snapchat, because Snapchat pays you per view, is doing well right now, you know, like, so there, for me as a business owner, I was like, wow, how can I maximize stream of income? This is what I do is through content. How can I maximize that to different platforms so that when we have a dry spell on one, that we're able to make that up in the business in another way?
So where do you go after the content house? And also in your career, have you ran into a tax problem yet? Have you made money and you're like, fuck, now I gotta pay taxes?
No,
What not that for you?
yeah, I obviously taxes are a very crazy thing, especially living in California.
Yeah.
Running a business. I moved to Puerto Rico.
Oh,
So I moved to Puerto Rico in 2021.
okay.
And
Is that direct? Well, that can't be right after the content house. So after the content house, you probably went back to your own apartment, whatever, and then you go out to Puerto Rico.
yeah,
What's the reason for Puerto Rico?
taxes.
Taxes. Taxes was the reason. Okay.
And I lived there for 2 years.
And then why come back?
I needed to find high school. This is
Okay. Did you not see any hope for this out Puerto Rico?
no. Everybody in Puerto Rico is married with kids and like really developed in their career. It's all expats saving taxes. Like they were all married. Like I was probably one of the only single people in our neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you move down there with friends or anybody?
When I dated a Puerto Rican guy for a while, and that was he was horrible. Oh sure.
Was he successful? Like, what was his role? Like, what did he do?
He was, and he actually kind of had me stop doing content. He thought it was like he was a narcissist, and he was like, "This isn't a business, and you're meant for more." Blah blah blah, and just kind of it was very golden cage. Like he was like, "Well, I have money. I don't need you to make money. I need you home cooking." And I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." Like very just wrapped.
Dang, so for a minute, you were kind of like into that.
I took a step back, which was the worst decision I ever made. But I was like, I am also have, as much as I have a lot of masculine energy as this boss and driven leader,
Interesting.
I'm very feminine as well. So I'm like, I want kids. I want to be married. I want that life. And so I gave it a really
That
wholehearted.
is a really good shot.
Yeah, I gave it a really good shot. And I was like, and for the right person, obviously, but it wasn't the right person. And I was like sitting in, and it was very much golden cage. And it makes you realize, like, I don't care how much this guy makes, or yes, we live in a mansion. I drive a nice car and those things are great. But like that meant nothing to me. I was like, I would rather drive a Toyota, and how I'm a goal oriented person. The money is it. Yeah,
Rather ride and live cheaper, let's just say.
because I moved back to LA into it, like, because I wasn't working. I moved back to LA and found an apartment for $1,200 a month with my best friend Jess. Like I was like, I want to like
God. So one of the questions too that I like to ask is, hey, what's the biggest loss that you've had? And almost monetarily, would you say, was it
That-
throttling off of your work?
that year I lost $1 million in what I would have made
Just by
trying to be one.
trying to kind of like, just kind of like changing the lifestyle. You're gonna be such a fucking cool mom. It's so cool to think about. Or you're active as hell, right? And I think about like why, like now, like the things me and my wife do with our kids, and it's interesting to see. They like to play sports. Kids like to fuck
Oh, I
around.
want
So
to go old bike. Can't wait.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, doing all that stuff now is so fun. Just roughhousing. So, but hold on though. So you're back. You take an honest shot at this complete lifestyle change. When you came back to LA, is it full blown content again?
No, real estate.
So is that where? Because I know you were trying to flip house at the time.
Yeah.
So you guys went into flipping full time. Were you still doing agent work too?
The realtor, we were just slipping because it's like I still had a nest egg that I had built up what I had from social media, but my social media, because I took a year off, was not making money at all. And
Did y'all lose like brand deals during that time too?
yeah, and if you're not creating and you're not getting views, it's like it was just so hard to like I just wasn't. I don't know what was going on, and so yeah, we were like, let's flip houses and really dive into that, which is such a feat, and like let's do that, yeah. And so we did, and we were able to flip 3 multi-million-dollar houses and everything, but then from there got back into content because I was like, wait, there's still an opportunity here and I have the followers. I just need to climb back the ladder and kind of restart my business.
And then
And now I invest into real estate more passively and just do long-term holds because then I'm not like, when you're flipping houses, it's every single day, 12-hour days. When you're,
it's hard business.
yeah, when you're, I own apartment complexes or, invest into funds, and it's so passive. I get my check every single month. I'm building equity, and I'm still so passionate about that. And that's the long-term game, because in 5 years, when I refi out, I'll reinvest, I'll keep my equity in. And it's like starting young. If I can do that till I'm 50, we can build a lot of equity, have a lot of passive income, but not be so hands-on.
Exactly. Which, you and I think share never talked about it, but share the love for real estate. That's how I think you met me. It was a real estate tax guy. It's a great asset class as far as just where to store your money and then cash flow. I mean, one of the guys that I have, so this is my fourth podcast.
Okay.
The second one that I had was Josh Galindo in town. Have you met him? Mm-mm. Super cool guy. Has done a ton of flips. I think he said maybe 1,200 or 2,000 out of.
Oh my goodness.
He's done a ton of flips, but out here in Vegas for a long time. He's a hard ass guy, and so with his personality, I think he's just fine.
Yeah.
He's the guy to go into it for sure. Just fire somebody if you need.
Because wow, I've never had such up and down that business. Like you want to the amount of times I cried.
It's a very stressful, and the worst part is you're dealing with such large assets that nothing moves fast.
We were fast.
As far as your rehabs, or you think the whole transaction process for you was fast because you guys were
the rehab?
I just mean like rehabbing it necessarily.
We all try all crazy. Like I was at the project every single day with my contractor. Like, no, you're gonna have this.
So the same way you were writing scripts and content ideas, even when you brought it to the real estate business, that same intention.
Yeah. No, and I would design it all, do all the spreadsheets, like everything. It wasn't that we weren't good at it. It's just that you have to be a master of something. And when I took a step back and I was like, wait a minute, okay, in the real estate industry, you either have money or you have time. And that's what everybody talks about. And it's like, you know what? I could have my other business that I enjoy, that I love in sports and content creation, and then funnel that into real estate. I don't have to be the one, because I could not create content at that time because it's just,
hell no.
I was
manage flips.
Overwhelmed. Yeah, we had $6 million with the flips out, and it's like,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, so much money, so stressful. Like we lost money, it's a lot, and it's overwhelming. And you're like, no, and no part of my day was like, I'm gonna film a TikTok.
Yeah, you're not wanting to stop and just go over any sort of content ideas, I'm sure, in the midst of that.
Yeah.
And thinking about Josh was on the podcast anyways, and he was saying that his number one source of income is all of his rentals now. So even and he runs a brokerage in town. So he's a brokerage, sponsors the nights, like pretty big brokerage. I think 150 or maybe 200 agents or so, also flips homes, but his number one source of income is his rental portfolio.
Wow, I mean, the thing I've doubted now it's diversify because
Now talk to us. Where's your focus now with your money and where you're at in the business?
Because I invested a lot into crypto, bigger right on that.
Was that one of your biggest losses?
Yes, my biggest loss because in Puerto Rico is a big thing to invest in a crypto, and I invest in some altcoins, and I should have never done that, but I was 23 years old,
So we're talking, as far as the biggest loss, this is not even something that you still own that's worth about nothing. It's something that you don't even own anymore, and it's just gone.
no, you're right. It's not a loss until you sell it, so nothing.
So you still, yeah.
I'm holding on. I've held on now for 4 years. And so it's just been sitting there, which does suck because so now I diversify not into crypto. I mean, I hold on to that. And then I have my money in the stock market, but I have a little bit in the stock market. I have a little bit in high yield savings, and I have a lot in real estate into long-term holds. And those take time. Your first year of investment, you don't make a return. Second year, you make a return. And then after 5 years, you're supposed to refi. So the thing about the real estate is it's completely money that I cannot access. So you have to forget about it for 5 years, which is really difficult to do only because you're like, wow, like, but I am getting my checks every single month, and that's amazing. And then I'm like, the upside is when you refi out, you keep a percentage in of equity and you're still getting checks. So that's like the long-term end goal. I'm also going to do a little bit into private money loans.
I got a good friend, Anna, I'll have to link you up, but she's super cool at that. And again, same energy. Female, runs a business, boss.
Yeah, risk.
She's big on that, yeah.
It's high risk, but yeah, you can get 11-12% on your.
But she's also lending money to people doing deals. So whether it's, she'll be.
That's what they do,
Yeah, exactly. She'll be a quick bridge loan between someone trying to close or, whatever the case is. But yeah, that's good money in that too.
Yeah, so then I'm looking into that right now. It's just like genuinely, I don't have time right now. So it's like even finding the time to like invest into a book. There's a lot of paperwork that I was need to go into it that I'm like.
So the pie chart now of your income.
Yeah.
28, probably ideally earning the highest of your career. Like I said.
I'm not.
Not yet.
I'm not earning the highest in my career right now.
Compared to where you were previously.
So when I was 23 was the highest.
So 23, and then so ideally pacing towards where you were at in 20.
Yeah, still very. I mean, because then I went.
What do you think?
I was
on your projections, you pass it.
Boom to boom.
You're midway up that line, or how close do you think you are from hitting 2023's numbers?
Midway up the line.
Midway up the line. Okay, okay.
Why should I do my what make?
Oh, okay. Well, I was not going to say any numbers here, but that's where I'm thinking. So then, what does it look like for you then, as your pie chart of money? Where is the most of it coming from? Which we know now is
social media, 100%.
Social media. But what is that though? That's brand deals. Also, where do you stack the W-2 in this?
The W-2 is great. That is, I make a salary and I make an amazing salary. So that would be that's
number 2 or that's number 1. What's beating? Like what's leading number 1 where money's coming from? Because I wouldn't lump the W-2 in the same category. Like your self-employed income, which we're gonna call it.
Yeah, I will say my job is 1/3 of my income, and then social media would be the 2/3.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so investment strategy is still the passive real estate side. I assume you don't do it.
I don't know if how much more am I going to do. Let's say I already have a really good chunk in there that I'm like, like I'm saying, I might go into private money rather than because it's a little bit more accessible. But that's the thing is like, yeah, I know I'm going to continue with my business and I don't think I'm going to need the money. But imagine like locking up another thing for 5 years is a pretty big feat. I don't own a house. There's things that it's like, eventually I want to do, I'm 28 now. I want to have kids. And so ideally want to own a home before we have kids. And so I don't know how much money I want to have locked up,
Do you have an age that you want to grind it out and work until you have kids?
Yeah. So right now we're on a 4-year plan for kids.
That's good. My wife had our twins at 30.
Did we have actual twins?
Yes. You think I picked that? You think I picked twins?
How was I? I sound like we're gonna kind of want twins. I just want.
We did. I wanted twins. So yes, that was our.
Which is so pregnant one time.
That would be. Let me tell you.
Being up there on 2s one time.
Look, yeah. Let me tell you how money that would be. We had our first son. Luckily, we've been very blessed on the timing of when we wanted kids.
Okay.
Because I know some people have struggled having kids.
You said 31. She had the twins.
She was 31 because and then she's 5 years older than me. So I had my first kid at 26. Yeah, she's 38 now. I'm 33. I just turned 33 a couple days ago.
Also, right.
Yes, and our
kids deserves a lot for 33. Congrats.
Thanks. Yeah, and like I said, I've kind of just fallen into this. This was not like I said, it wasn't so much.
Because you and I met you for 3-4 years ago, and you were running this business.
Right, the same business.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had our first son. He's 5, and our twins are 3. So 5 years ago, I was 28 and had our twins. So dang, she was maybe No, hell no. 3. Let's do this math. 38. 3. Share twins are like 34, 35.
Okay, see that I do get nervous. I was like talking actually yesterday about freezing my eggs, and I was like, just because that's so. And no, but so many of my friends they're
So young.
32 now trying, and they're not getting pregnant.
See, yeah, that's where I'm like that. But that's what.
And I'm like, because if we're gonna have a couple kids and we're not having twins, it's like 32, 30.
Well, you're so sucking, you know.
36.
Yeah.
It's like you want 3 kids. You're like,
You want 3 kids?
What me?
That's a lot.
It's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids. But that's the struggle though, because you came from a huge family. Me and my wife wanted no kids. Right. Solo income.
Then you get pregnant.
Double income. No, well, no. Then we had our singleton, and I was like, great. It was our first son, Ari. We wanted a boy. Perfect. And then we got pregnant with twins, and it was like, holy fuck. We had to move houses because our house is too small. And that was just like
So how hard is twin?
so incredibly hard. But it was very hard because we had our son who was their birthdays are all in May. They're just shy of 2 years. So they're very close, which is nice now that they're 5 and 3. But we wanted the same thing that you're saying, which is twins on the first shot is money because you're blind to the fact of how hard it is. So if you come out of the gate with twins, you don't know anything else. So it just
I was a nanny in college, and I'm like, when I had 2 kids playing, it was actually easier.
that's why people have 1 kid. I'm like, you think that's fucking easy? That's no.
So like, mommy. Yeah, go play with Jerry, okay?
Go play, go play in the back. Go throw some rocks around. Go play with your siblings. But you can't do that. Then they go, I have siblings.
That's why I'm like, twins would be awesome because it's like they play with each other, hopefully.
And our twins are boy girl. We don't want any girls.
How was personal question? How was she after twins, body wise? That's a lot. That's hard.
Tough, very tough. She hates it. It's very tough. Yeah, she had it's very hard on your body.
Very hard. That's
Very hard.
That's what I don't know if I need to.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture after. Just her sitting on the table. It's probably a few weeks before they came. She was big. But you're big. You got 2 fucking babies.
Yeah.
But then again though, I do like 3 kids. I think is a lot. I think 2 is that happy medium, just because you're truly out.
God,
3.
we just want boys. So
Same. Not all boys, but my girl's sick.
that's what I know.
She was last. We call her the BOGO, just like a buy one get one deal, and then she was the BOGO. But she. Cool. She's hella cool. Okay, it's nice to balance it out with the boys.
Yeah, you do say like if we probably got a boy first and then got a girl, it's probably like what we don't need 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kyle, who's a financial advisor in this office here, very close friend of mine. He has 2. They're like 11 and 9, boy, girl, boy, deal, and it's just such a good family structure. I feel like set up. I feel like now with I have 3 kids. First, I hate when I hear people with less kids complain. I'm like, shut up. It's not that hard because I have 3 now. You start to see how hard it is with more kids.
Wow.
And I think you can do a lot more with just 2 kids. Traveling is a lot easier. Car seats now with 3 kids.
I need 2 hands or 2 people. It's like
It's so
you're outnumbered now.
you're always doing something. You can never chill. So, but I like your thought though of the twins out of the gate. That's what we want. Just didn't know it.
Yeah, but obviously that's not like unless you really did idea. But my boyfriend is like, no, absolutely not twin out the gate. He doesn't want twins at all. But he just wants to do 1 at a time, and I'm like, babe, imagine the terrible twos. You just do it 1.
You just get out of it. Yeah.
Because I can't imagine being the terrible twos and having a newborn. And also as a woman, being if you do if we wanted 3 kids, you would be pregnant or postpartum for 6 years of your life.
And that is where so my wife, God bless her, she breastfed all of our kids.
Yeah.
And which I thought that was huge. We wanted to do that not only from like a health reason. It's just very healthy. And I got no scientist, but I think it's fairly healthy to have the mom breastfeed them. So that was just something too. Was like she's always feeding. When she had these twins, she always had this pillow out, was always feeding these kids. And so to what you say is when you have your kids close, you're always doing mom shit, which I do like.
That 6 years of your life.
But I will say though, now when I see people that have 1 kid and they're waiting 4 or 5 years and they're having another, I'm like, dumb. Why would you wait? Just get them all done.
You think it's dumb?
I think it's so dumb. I think it's so fucking.
I hear so many different opinions on it.
Why? Tell me why you do it. I'd rather, like you're saying, get them all through this hard phase at once. But I also love seeing. Again, I'll show you a picture after of like they're so close when they're so. I had a sibling that was 10 years older. Now we're not even close now. So I look at my kids and I'm like, God, you guys are just thick as thieves. They're all fucking super close. They're talking to each other. They're playing. And I feel like that's what you.
That's not always the case. Though.
Yeah, true. But I'm like, you want the camaraderie of like your siblings. And so I think that when they're close in ages, and from a parenting perspective, so much easier to go through it all at once. Because we phase out of diapers almost all at once. We phase out of like sippy cups all at once. We're going to get out of car seats all at once. So
yeah.
You start to hit these milestones. But the twin thing was cool though too, from the sense of you're like a circus. People love twins, and people thought the boy-girl thing was crazy. Like when we go to Costco, you just get stopped consistently.
Go well, see what
Boy girls. Yeah, they were just all
you have twins in your family? That's
yeah, fucking my wife's Aunt Wendy. Aunt Wendy got us. She had twins on her 7th and 8th kids. Fucking Wendy. If you watch this Aunt Wendy, you got our asses. Yeah, so we always joke with Aunt Wendy. She got us. Yeah, it's completely natural. What's funny is I wasn't even with my wife when she found out because it was during COVID. So she had to call me. And she just hysterically was crying when she found out she had twins. Kind of a damper sad. But now we're happy, obviously. Because she didn't want twins. We didn't want any kids. But we still got them.
yeah. Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So segueing back to something more serious is, okay, which I guess we're close to wrapping this is, what do you think scaling your business looks like now? Because now I'm 5 years into my business. We're going to call it at least 6, 7, 8 years into your business. What does it look like to now start earning more money substantially? Is it bigger deals? Is it more deals? Is it you start training people to do what you know how to do now under you and you're sort of a manager? What is the next major step in income of business for you?
You know what's crazy is I am a big planner. I could tell you a 5-year plan, and like that's how I always was, like very regimented, and I'm so much less like that now. And I'm like, for once, I love exactly where my career is at, and I'm like, if I can continue this, and obviously lead to more deals and things like that, but it's like if I can continue the track I'm on and get more sports correspondent jobs, which I love, and more sports opportunities, I would be so happy. Exactly.
So the sports side is really making you happy.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with fucking learning like what to ask and like doing the research on the sports that you're doing? Is that a lot of work?
Oh my gosh.
So when you're on the way there, you're reading articles, you're you assist, you're
The back end of a sports broadcaster is insane.
because you don't want to sound surface level.
And it's all the questions you make yourself. You have to do all the research. I mean, for my fan-up job, I had to know going into my last conversation, it was March Madness, NFL draft, pop culture. So Bachelor, Love is Blind, like, you know,
So much reading.
yeah, you know, like how much I need to know about just for March Madness, everything about college basketball.
Love March.
You know?
It's fucking huge into March.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just, and then for my boxing jobs, a lot of times, a lot of these fighters, you don't know anything about. You got it. Some fighters you know a lot about, and you know if you have some fighters who are like the undercard who you know nothing about, that I have to do deep
You
dive.
ever have to interview them before you do the work live or no? Do you get a chance to?
No, it's always usually really like live on stage in front of people, and you just have to like memorize these questions and go in and be like, this guy that I didn't hear of yesterday, I got to go in and know all of his stats today, and not forget it in front of a live audience, live on TV.
Do you get cards to use at least or anything? Any sort of
I'll raise them stuff sometimes, but no, not really, because it would be super awkward. Like you're live on stage and you're like, 1 second, you know?
That is true. Like I was saying, the first podcast I did was with a client, lost a ton of money, and it was just like, bro, let's get on and talk about this. It was like 30 minutes. It was great. And then the second one, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do this a little bit more formal. And I had like a printout. And then I was like, this is terrible. Oh my God. I was like finding myself trying to look at this. And like, then I'm trying to talk, but then like keep the same sort of tone. It was terrible.
No, but your flow completely, the second you go down the paper, your flow and your voice projection completely changes.
Yes. Because you sound like you're kind of resetting.
Yeah. So people are like, it's very uncomfortable. So it's rather, but like luckily when I'm interviewing the fighters, because yeah, it's live on stage, live on TV. So what?
That's so nervous. Yeah. A lot of live on TV is just like, dang, you're right. You have no room to slip up. No room.
One time.
You ever had any crazy?
Yeah. Well, one time, I mean, I'm a blonde woman, and already people are like, you're dumb, you know, like they want to find any opportunity to think that you're unintelligent, you know, which I really that's something I do pride myself in, is my intelligence. But one time, I mean, yeah, they give you the questions sometimes and sometimes they don't. And this one they did, and they were like, the phrase was name, or they meant to say like name two ways that you would describe X fighter, Canelo, or whatever.
Someone asked you this question.
No, I need to ask this.
Okay,
you know, like, okay, so Caleb Plant. Describe.
He's boys in Vegas. He's from Vegas.
Yeah. He was very sweet, actually. So I'm on stage with Caleb Plant, and I'm like, I don't even remember who he's fighting because I had to do so many fights. He was fighting, and he's fighting, and I said, describe, you know, him in two words, and that was what it was. But I think he meant 2 phrases. So he's like, big pussy or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, he's talking.
But he said 2 words, and we wanted 2 phrases. So I'm like, no, and the next one, and he was like, that was 2 words, and that's live on TV. It's clipped. Everybody's like, she's so dumb, blah blah blah. And so he came up last fight, like 2 weekends ago. We're at the fight. He was watching the fight with his wife. He was really sweet.
He looks like a nice guy.
He came up to me and was like, hey, like, and this was our only second interaction. I only interviewed him the one time. And he was like, I just want to say, like, I saw the clips, and I'm like, he's like, I'm so sorry. I did not meant to, like, do that to you or make you look like that. I was like, you
Good for him.
and it was really sweet. And I was like, oh, you didn't have to do that. And like, I work with his wife though. She works for PBC as well. And so, but that was like, that really was really nice. But all to say, you can't mess up.
You can't. That's so scary.
Yeah, you can. And it's like, you're literally, like your mind can blank. You're on stage in front of people, the lights are in your face, and you just have to like memorize this exact question that you were given backstage.
Do they got an earpiece that you get to hear stuff?
Yes, not really. I mean, sometimes
You're not live here.
most of the time they're telling me, okay, after this we're wrapping and then we're going to schedule to Zenavides and then do this, but then you're trying to think about your question. So it's not like they're feeding you the questions through there, no.
So then what's your favorite sport that you do? A lot of boxing? What's
I do a lot of boxing, but like I wouldn't say that's my favorite sport. I do.
You did the Bauer thing recently. That looked cool. I don't know if I could kind of talk about
Oh, do you like hockey?
Fuck yo. I mean, now here in Vegas with the Knights. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, no.
I saw you loading a fucking Bauer bag and throwing it in the plane, and I'm like, oh god, that was fucking cool. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we have a bunch of hockey stuff coming out, but hockey's cool. I mean,
And I feel like the whole city's now, blowing up with hockey because the Knights.
yes, but I love the NFL. If anything that
You're a freak of football, huh?
in football, I love
I'll watch football, but I'm not. I'll root for teams.
love it.
What's your team?
the Niners.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Southern California, so.
Okay. Okay. What was I gonna ask though?
Do you want to know about the plane, or you want to talk about tax?
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So hold on. Yeah. How would I even let you off of this podcast without talking about the plane? Yeah.
Yes, because you were like, we need to talk about taxes in your plane.
Yes, which I was gonna say too. The only things that I really post sometimes are planes, which I'm a huge RC plane fanatic. So and I like planes, and I live close to an airport, so I see the planes come over. And again, I just like planes. So yeah, quick rush into how did you get into planes?
So I got my helicopter pilot's license during COVID when
You got your helicopter license before your pilot license.
before my fixing. Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. Normally people don't do both.
No. And wouldn't you say more people go to fixed wing first versus helicopter?
But no, I think if you go to helicopter, you just go to helicopter and you die hard.
No.
But yeah, I would say
What's harder to fly?
helicopter.
Helicopter.
Way hard.
The one where you're whipping through the canyon is fucking nuts. Fucking nuts. You got to be what, 50 feet? I don't know. It looks like 50 feet, 100 feet above the water. Yeah. So, okay, then why go helicopter and then fixed wing? What made you want to go to fixed wing?
I love
Yeah, wait. Why go helicopter? Why'd you get your helicopter license? This is a fun.
Yeah, it was. Well, I was very stunt, and always had my beat. I'm a stunt girl, and I was like, and one of my friends who I skydive with, because I was a licensed skydiver, he was a helicopter instructor, and I was like, I really want to be a pilot, and he was like, helicopter is so badass. Like, you don't go fixing, that's so lame. And then I was like, okay. And I did helicopter, and I'm like, helicopters are amazing. It's so fun. And it was really fun when I lived in Puerto Rico because you can bop around the island and land wherever. But the regulations on the helicopters are insane, and they're very expensive. Like the cost per hour, I would never buy a helicopter. And so my plane, it was like, oh, I can buy this. It's so useful for me. Like we literally have like 4 trips.
Yeah, how else are you on this plane?
She kind of gets a little nauseous. Yeah, I do. But since I've been working with her, we've been on it like, yeah, that loves her. And we have like 4 trips this month because I'm going to Palm Springs, I'm going to LA. Like it's so applicable for my career that to take it places.
Is it Cirrus?
No, I'm
Airplane? What is it?
Cirrus are really nice.
They are nice. That's the latest.
But you also get a lot of slack in
the plane community. Why? Because they just call like, oh, it's like you're just a base. Cirrus is like.
No, it's like the rich man's first plane because it's like you're spending that much money because they can be upwards of $1 million. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I hear that they're really digital.
Yeah, they're very high tech. They're very fast. But it's like when you're an entry level pilot, you need a starter plane, and when you're rich, you buy the Cirrus. And so it's kind of like you didn't earn your way. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like,
I totally see it. Yeah.
Yeah. People know they're not a good pilot, but they're flying a fast plane.
And I have to ask too. Help me understand. Is it the yoke you guys call it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The yoke on a Cirrus on the side looks like an RC plane.
Oh, that doesn't seem as. Yeah. When I'm watching you guys do this, when you pull back, is that? Yeah, that's your elevator. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like I'll watch the motions. I'm like, Dad, I can't tell what the planes are in because from an RC standpoint, I learn a lot about them and like what they need to do in the throw angles. But I'm like, dang, when I'm watching the stick, I'm like, so then this is your ailerons?
Yeah, it's ailerons exactly. On the aileron.
Yep, and then this is your elevator. And then what's rudder? Your feet?
Your feet.
Oh, that's so goofy to be have.
Yeah, so when I'm taxing on the ground, I'm only using rudder. I'm not actually.
Yeah, not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so hold on though. So then why go fixed wing? So you got your helicopter's license, just kind of, hey, let's do this.
Because I could buy a plane. Like you can buy a plane at like $100,000 instead of like $500,000 for an entry level helicopter. And it like my cost per hour is $100 an hour for my plane.
So cheap.
So it's like I can get to LA, you know, and spend $150, and that
Where do you land when you go to LA?
Van Nuys.
So, and then, like, how does this work? Do you have to tell Van Nuys that you're coming out there?
No, I mean, maybe the FBO I'm parking at, but no, it's not like I can land. Like we landed in El Monte the other day, really small. I just landed and popped over the FBO, and I'm like, just paid to park for the day. Like, what do you pay the $8?
Do you have to patch it in though and talk to the tower at any sort of distance beforehand, saying, hey,
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay.
Usually they're flying IFR or VFR. If you're an IFR flight plan, they know every second of where you're at, and it's filed in advance, and you have really like important time altitude. If you're flying VFR, I'm on VFR flight following, and so I would just be like on the ground. I would be like North Vegas Tower, Cherokee 222 Bravo, requesting VFR flight following 7,500 to KVNY
what are you requesting 7,500? What is that?
altitude.
Yeah, I'm always nervous because the planes that come in that land at executive out here, I could definitely reach with my RC plane. So I try to, since I'm in like an extra, like, do you guys ever see shit like that up in the air when you're flying, like drones and planes and stuff? Probably not.
Would be hard to see. No.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say when you're like coming into, like,
You could be able to, if you go up in the air in a little plane and they say a real plane, it's hard to see. They're like traffic 12 o'clock. You're like, yeah, it takes a little, and you're like, okay, got it.
yeah, okay. So your eyes.
I could not see an RC plane.
Yeah.
So be careful.
Yeah, no, oh, of course, yeah, we are for sure. Yeah, but and then so obviously the plane helps you tax wise, but it wasn't a tax reason that you buy the plane. It's because now you're into aviation.
Yeah. But so how explain? Because yeah, it is. We're following that right now, where the plane really helped me with taxes. How?
Overall, it's so when you buy assets similar to the real estate space, you get to depreciate them. So if I buy that tripod over there and it's $100, I get to deduct the $100. When you buy a large asset like a car, a plane, a building, depreciation comes into play where it's like, yay, since this has a useful life of so many years, that tripod they would say is like inconsequential. You can write it off right away. But a large asset that you spend a lot of money on, they're like, hey, you're going to get the use of this over years and years. You can't write it all off up front. But certain tax code sections allow you to say, hey, I'm going to be able to bonus depreciate this. And so with a plane like that, you'd be able to bonus depreciate and take a large portion of the purchase price up front as a deduction.
Well, what about when I sell? I'm looking for a faster plane.
I was just going to say, when you sell this thing and what's the next plane you're getting? But the tax side of it is, yes, because you get to write off so much of the plane up front, that just means that, let's say you buy a plane at $100,000.
Yeah.
And you, okay, we're going to hit the viewers here with a little math. You buy a plane for 100. You depreciate 80,000 of it. So you get to write off 80,000 right off the gate. Your net book value now is $20,000 because you bought it for 100, you wrote off 80. So really the value to you now is 20. Most people think that if they went and sold that plane for, let's say, 50 grand, they'd have a $50,000 loss because they bought it for 100, they sold it for 50. But what you look at for a gain,
I don't think I'm really going to sell it for a lot less.
no, you probably sell it for relatively the same.
Yeah, if not a lower value, yeah.
Which is good though too.
Yeah.
So in your case though, you're going to have a higher gain because in that math example of, let's just say it's 100,000, you write off 80,000, your net book value is 20. What you do to calculate your gain is you take sale price minus net book value, not minus originate purchase price. So this is why when people do that, they're like, hey, if I sell the plane at 50, I don't have a $50,000 loss. My net book value is 20. So I really have a $30,000 gain. Because you base off your net book value, because you're kind of having to pay back some of the benefit that you got early. So then the argument is, well, why would I do that if I have to do recapture? And it's like the time value of money.
You want to take 30
You can't. And so what's funny is I laugh about that because when crypto came out, you had motherfuckers 1031 or trying to 1031 crypto coins. And you can't do that. The IRS clapped back at that quick.
So when I sell my plane, I'm going to have to pay a big tax.
So what's some recapture potentially?
Recapture, and then I'm going to buy a new one, but then we'll be able to appreciate that.
That's why I laugh about, Grant Cardone talks about it. He bought this jet and wired it over to whoever it was. But that when he sold that jet, he was going to be stuck with a huge gain. So what was it? He went and bought another jet. And so this is where, yes, there's this argument of like, well, why would you do that when you just have to pay back? Yes, but then again, you're buying these assets for other reasons, not just for the tax reasons. I tell people that, hey, the tax should be like cherry on top. So like you're into planes and you bought this and it fits your lifestyle, fits your business. I can't imagine what the plane has done for you content-wise and logistics-wise. Like you just said, you're getting to move around all these places where on your own time that it just fit your business. And also it's like, hey, look, I get a fat-ass tax deduction for it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, really helps you.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the questions that I end off with everybody with.
Fine.
You remember Ty Lopez? I'm in my garage with my Ferrari, that guy. So I always liked how he kind of broke down life in the sense of health, wealth, love, and happiness. Because I'm like, dang, those are good pillars to think about in someone's life. And as a planner, I want to know where you spend most of your money in each of those categories. And so health, what do you think you spend the most money on when it comes to your health?
Fitness classes, probably.
Fitness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I work out every day, so Lugerie or gym or protein snacks.
So well, I would assume that you're always on the go, so you're always snacking. Like when you're leaving, you're the one hitting the bar for the bars and a smoothie drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wealth. Wealth we kind of touched on, but wealth from the standpoint of where, and let's focus on now going forward. You make, this is not an actual number. Let's just say when you get to, you're making $5 million. Let's just say 5 million is a number. And where are you saving most of your money and investing most of your money? Where do you think that should go?
If I was making 5 million, I would say well, you have taxes.
So after your costs and taxes, yeah, where are you investing? So in the wealth category of,
I'll give you 5 million after taxes.
sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I would.
Where are you where are you building your nest? Is it more real estate? Is it crypto? We talked about the hard money lending. Where is your next focus of building your nest for the next 5-10 years with your money?
Yeah, I would say 20% real estate, 20% stocks.
So you really are keeping it diverse.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so. Yeah, and then I would say like 15 high yield, and then everything else would be expense or like your life.
Yeah. So you still keep a lot of cash. Do you, side tangent before I go on to the next one, do you have to invest a lot of money into your business to fuel it? Keep like, what's your, it's costing you, but yes, what's your
That's fine. I mean, that's what I'm saying. No matter what, I mean, you even see from my write-offs, like what we bring in is not, well, because I have a team, I have, like, there's so many random expenses. Like when we're filming with Vower, it's like we're renting the rink out and that's $1,000, it's like, there's so much,
all that?
yeah, expenses that have to go into the content, into the filming that.
Yeah, because most people would think like, hey, if I pay you
An editor, I have an assistant, it's like,
all back end team. Because if I pay you 20 grand for a job, that doesn't mean that I'm going to cover all the costs it takes to produce that content.
no,
You have to do that.
yes.
So really on the 20, you're going to make 8, whatever the case is.
Well, but then I'll get paid 20, and you see this in my books. But then it's like my manager takes 20, so then I have to pay her out, and then I have to pay out the cost of the shooting and the filming or whatever, and then my team is just they're on salary.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, okay, so we did health, we did wealth, love. What is your, and really now asking this too for the 4th time, I can see how these are kind of the same. What do you enjoy doing? And so in the love and happiness category, whether it's you and your spouse, significant other, where do you spend the most money on leisure time? Is it traveling? What do you do?
Yeah,
Like I golf. That's what golf and RC is where all of my money goes.
I love hobbies and anything. I don't drink, so hobbies make me happy. We'll take tennis. I have a golf lesson today. And it's like those, I love achieving something new. So, and I went snowboarding last weekend. Like I love snowboarding trips. So things like that definitely are like my hobbies. I spend money on.
Hobbies and experiences with your friends and stuff like, yeah. Was it expensive to get your pilot license?
Yeah.
Really?
Also a tax RFO education.
How much was it?
Realistically, probably 20 grand.
Did you pass the first time?
Yes. Both my rotor and my aircraft.
The helicopter planes are hard to fly, like RC planes. Again, I couldn't tell you.
And I'm back in school right now because I'm getting my next rating to fly into bad weather. It's called instrument rating. I have my exam in 2 weeks.
Dang, how often are you studying?
Oh my gosh. Well, I had this morning, I had a study session, and it made me realize how not ready I am.
You said you're an early riser, so are you the type that you'll wake up and start studying? Is that kind of what
that I try and do the hardest thing right in the morning because that's my prime brain hour. And so I get that out of the way. The thing that I don't want to do that's the most difficult right when I wake up, which used to be for me, I used to wake up and work out, and that was taking my prime brain hour. And I'm like, you have to realize if you're a creative, a lot of people are at night. If that's your prime brain hour, do your hardest work then. When are you operating the best time? And so for me, it's in the morning. So my boyfriend's not up. My manager's not calling me. Like Marie hasn't started. That is my time to study, because once work gets going, I told myself yesterday, I'm going to fit in an hour and I'm going to study. Once a day got going, I never did. And I'm like, prime time, 7 to 9 before work starts, I got to be hitting the books.
What time do you wake up?
It depends on the day. I used to be a lot more of an early riser before. moving out with my boyfriend because he's not. And so at night he wants to watch a show and he's like mad that I'm falling.
Snooze it off.
He's like, we started the show, and I'm like, I get up at 6, like,
Yeah.
so but now I'll get up at 7 because then it allows me if I can go to bed by 11. But then, yeah, I try and do 11 to 7.
Yeah, it's early. Me and my wife hate waking up in the morning, and now our kids are obviously waking up early, so they basically wake us up. We were in the clock.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question too that I'll ask is, since you got to see the transition, because like I think Josh, for example, he wasn't really a W-2 when he was on the podcast. He's always been self-employed. So people usually find this major shift of when they're going from, oh my gosh, taxes were easy. I got paid a W-2. I did my
$8 of your check.
easy. The taxes are really deformed.
Well, it's been a long. It's been 10 years since I've had W-2.
Right. And so now you have one again, though, the sports side of it, but you're still self-employed, which causes this big layer of complexity. I tell people that hire a CPA or consider hiring like an actual accountant when you either have rental properties or run a business, because your tax situation completely changes.
Well, yeah, and it's so, I tell everybody all the time, I'm like, I don't really believe that America incentivizes business owners because it is so difficult to be a business owner. And I know
What do you think the hardest part is? Like when you say that, what's the hardest?
but maybe if I own multiple businesses, that is like I have multiple LLCs. So every year you have to make sure those LLCs are compliant. So you've got a BOI and you have all this compliance paperwork. And then when I moved states, I had domestication of my LLC to a new state that cost, $2,000. And it's like, there's all these random deadlines and paperwork you need to fill out, and then like the bookkeeping of all your finances, and then understanding that like at the end of the year you're going to get hit with a crazy tax bill that you have to be prepared for. It's like, and also just I have to have a business card for each business and make sure that when I'm doing something for one of my businesses, it's coming out of that business card because that's a write-off rather than taking it from my personal card. So it's like my wallet has 3 business cards, my personal card, a credit card, and it's like just managing all of that. Make sure you're paying all of your employees. Like, it's like, so you're not incentivized by the government. I swear every month I'm getting an email that's like, by the way, for your business, this is due. And you're like, what? Like, it is so expensive. And when you finally it's like always getting hit with a random $1,000 bill. Even my real estate business, when we took a massive loss in California, my real estate company, it was like, and you saw this on my taxes, but it was like we still for some reason owed, even though our company was a massive loss, $6,000 to California. And it's like I pay for everything out of each business. So when the real estate company took the loss, it was like now that $6,000 that I owed California had to come from my other business, and I'm like, when I just lost so much money, why do I owe the government $6,000? I did not understand that. I'm like,
California's ruthless.
yeah, I was like, that was crazy. And then I got a bill the other day, which I should probably send you, for another $1,000 on that business. And I'm like,
Gotta send it.
it's constant that I'm like, I don't want to own a business.
That's a good way to view it too, because really what I just hear there is you're right. It's the education and understanding all the different moving pieces that really just,
And there's no
it's like death by no, and that's what I was just gonna say.
to
You don't know it going into it. You're never gonna learn, like you don't learn this in school. You fucking don't. You don't learn.
Ross, is there not a literal class that breaks down everything you need to do for owning an LLC, an S corp, all these different like financial entities, that you're like have to have to be a business owner? It's like, and then buying it in with business, like when I bought my plane, and like factoring into that. And then also once it goes to the business, how you pay yourself out as an individual, and then putting yourself on a salary. It's like,
What would be your advice to younger you business owner now that you're years into it? You have an accountant, they're doing your books.
yeah.
Right? Because for me, I always tell people that are new into business, I don't care what you do, any tax talk that I do where we talk, because tax strategy is sexy. How do you save on taxes? But the problem is, I'm like, you're never going to get anywhere as far as saving on taxes if you don't track your numbers. You need to do your accounting.
Yeah, if you're not super on top of it, you need an accountant. Like I bought Stella maybe 2 years ago, so that was really helpful. But like before that, I would say the biggest thing to do is like watch YouTube videos on how to make a correct LLC. That's very scary because you can also like what state you make your LLC is very important. I had my LLC in Delaware, so I have to have a Delaware rep in Delaware, but that helps me on a corporation level because I don't have an LLC, I have an S corp. But then I created an LLC in California, which was a nightmare. So really do your research on where you create your corporation or your LLC, and then from there, creating a business account and getting a business credit card. That is huge because it cannot be mixed. You need to be able to look at that bank statement and know that like this is coming from this business, is those are write-offs. If you mix your personal and at the end of the year, you are gonna want to die.
That's such a good way to say it. And that's why we tell people it's 2 reasons. You're going to want to die is number 1 reason. Yes. But number 2 is compliance. Also, like, it does not look good to commingle. It's not like you get sued and they're like, oh, wow, they're using entity A to pay for entity B. They're not even using this for what it is. You lose the protection.
Yeah.
So yes, but the you're gonna want to die thing is because why? You're gonna have to spend so much time deciphering. Oh wait, all my expenses were on my personal card. No wait, which card were they on? And so
it's like you don't have multiple businesses, just do one.
Yeah, come out of the gate with one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do. I have 3, and that's a lot to keep up with.
That's good. We'll end it there. One business, do your books, keep track of everything. And again, you're the best. I appreciate that. This was great. This was super fun.
Yeah, awesome. For having me on. Thanks for doing my taxes.